Welcome to the Aon Practice Education Series in partnership with Firm Media, delivering concise and impactful insights for aesthetic and specialty medical practices. Your host, Chris Suchánek.
Today we have a very special guest, Angela Baldasare, co-founder of Your Practice Solutions. Angela, I'm so excited to have you on the show. We've been talking about today's topic, which is phone training and lead handling. But before we jump into that, will you tell our listeners a little bit about who you are and how you ended up here today?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on today, Chris. Yes, my name is Angela Baldasare. My husband and I owned a busy regenerative medicine and aesthetics practice in Orlando for about 27 years. We did 2 private equity exits, which is a different podcast entirely. But for several years, I have been consulting and training other specialty practices on, how to scale, how to grow, where the leaks in their boats are. This is a big one.
I mean, I know that you are very passionate about phone answering. I just want to check in with you a little bit around sort of that. And I know we're going to get into the questions in a little bit. As you know, I own a marketing agency, and my job for years has been to sort of deliver leads to practices.
Right.
I've been in this industry 20 years. There was only 2 marketing agencies in the whole trade show floor when I started. It has evolved over the years, right? The biggest problem that we've had for the last 2 decades is that the EMRs, the practice management systems, don't really play well with the marketing agencies, right? So we can theoretically, you can lead the horse to water, but you can't make them drink. So we had zero visibility on what was happening on the phones. But from a data perspective, we could always tell.
Right.
That we're sending you enough leads. And when phone calls are handled properly in the right practice, this leads to more revenue.
100%. I see this over and over and over with my consulting clients. If you can have the greatest marketing firm in the world, and if your phone system is broken, people who answer the phones aren't trained well, then you're just pouring water into a bucket with a hole in it. I've had to tell practices like, pause your marketing for a second. Like you're just, throwing money at this and nobody is giving the right answers, is answering the phone the right way, following up with the leads. It's such an undervalued part of a practice. I'm really passionate about it because I was a non-provider owner, right? So I couldn't go back there and do somebody's lips or run somebody's laser or something like that. So I had to put my concentration and my focus on what I knew, what I can control, and what I was good at. And that was making sure the phones were answered right, making sure the sales cycle was correct, making sure there were outbound calls and all of that stuff. So, it was a blessing and a curse while we owned our practice because if provider didn't show up, there's nothing I could do about it. But it really showed me that it is the engine that drives the whole entire practice. Your revenue is made at the front desk, despite what most practice owners think.
I really appreciate you saying that because obviously you sharpened your saw over the years in the aesthetic space or med spa space. But as I've been talking to you, Firm Media works in the oral surgery space, the periodontal space, and a lot of this is the same, right? You have
100%. Yeah. My first job was here in Atlanta at Atlanta ENT and Associates. So, I started out in a purely medical practice. So, and this is universal. This problem is universal. The front desk is treated like a front desk, like an order taker, minimum wage job. Practices will say, yeah, we have 3 part-time people that come in, and I'm like, oh, can we put some resources and some value and some time? Well, I can turn your practice around if you'll just, value and train that position a little bit.
It's interesting because whoever's at the front desk, right? Especially in the I use the phrase specialty medical because oral surgeons are doing aesthetic work as well. They're doing full mouth
100%.
restoration, dental implants, right? And years ago, everything for oral surgeons was a referral.
Right.
And so you have all these people that are at the front desk who are very good at fielding referrals and establishing relationships with the referrals and so on and so forth. But then you start doing marketing for the practice and the practice is like, well, we're not really getting any leads. And then we start listening to phone calls because now the resources exist, right? For me to be able to say, this is exactly what happened with 7 of the 10 leads. And it's literally the person doesn't understand the nuances of closing a referral versus closing a lead. and things like speed to lead. That we're going to get into all this, so I'm excited to
Right.
talk about it. I just wanted to set it
Right.
up a little bit because you're speaking my language. Now that the tools exist, we're able to point right at clients and say the same thing to them. Hey, I know you want more leads, but we're not going to spend any more money. We're going to keep doing what we're doing, and you need to fix that problem.
100%. Yeah. And
Or even
they're
this
not,
problem, right? Like, hey, for some reason your staff can close leads for breast augmentation, but they lose every lead for a tummy tuck. So I don't know what's going on there, but I'm going to pause this campaign. So I'm sorry, you were going to say something.
yeah, sometimes it's about education. Like, they can close breast augmentations probably because they've had one, they understand it, they know people who've had one, and they haven't had a tummy tuck. And all of my trainings, I'm telling all of my teams, like, do your homework, do your homework, do your homework, do your homework. Know your services inside out and backwards, and then know them from a patient's perspective. What have patients said? What's changed their life since they got their implants or whatever else. We're in this day and age more than ever, people are buying people
Yes.
before they're buying services. And what you're selling is not an implant or Botox or lip filler, right? You're selling confidence. And when you can kind of make people understand that quickly on the phone, then you don't have to close anybody. When you understand what it is that you're selling, that you need to build a relationship first, and then you need to show them how whatever it is it doesn't matter what it is. I don't care if you have backhoes, drills,
Yeah.
blinds, shades, dental implants, whatever, how it can enhance their life, then that's all you need to do. Because the truth is, when people call, and I think this is what teams don't understand. Teams think that people are calling you because they want to know how much Botox is a unit. And that is not why they're calling. They want to know why they should come see you for Botox. And you're making the mistake of telling them $16 a unit, when what you should be telling them is, oh my gosh, you are going to love Dr. Schwartz. You are going to love Injector Jess. She gets the most beautiful results. All of our patients say she's the most gentle injector. Oh my gosh, you are going to love Dr. Friedman. When he does these implants, it just changes people's face, their confidence rises, whatever else. They're not really asking you how much is Botox a unit. They're asking, why should I come to see you?
Yes, I agree with that. I think we talked about this a couple weeks ago. There's a shift taking place. The consumer is changing. People are tired. There's a new generation of people coming up. They're tired of being sold to. They were raised on phrases like "Don't gaslight me."
Mm.
I used to say that people want to know one of three things: who are you, what are you doing, why should I choose you? And I think now it's shifting, because why should I choose you used to mean like, look at me next to my airplane and I have 2 offices, and look how I was on this TV show, look how cool I am. And don't get me wrong, I think there's people that are still angling towards that, but by and large, I think the average consumer is thinking, who are you, what do you do, and why should I allow you to perform a surgery on me that I may or may not even need, right? So why should I trust you?
And, they're valuing customer service and follow-up more than ever. You hear about, big corporations, you read the reviews for whatever it is, for Hims and Hers, for whatever else. And they're like, nobody will call me back. When this was going on, I couldn't get an answer, when XYZ was happening. And you can convey very quickly to someone on a phone call, we care about your results. We're going to hold your hand through this whole process, and we're going to be here for you before, during, and afterwards. You don't have to say that, but by listening more than you talk and by being curious, I think people treat those incoming phone calls like order takers. I often ask my clients when I'm doing my discovery call, I'll ask admin teams, like, what is your job responsibility? And they'll say, answering the phones, scheduling appointments, and taking payments. And they're like, yeah, that's like number 9, 10, and 11
Sure.
on the list as far as I'm concerned. It's building relationships. It's keeping the schedule full. It's customer service yes, you're going to have to take payments and check people out and whatever else, but that's a process. That's not a responsibility.
I believe the shift is happening. Healthcare is not great these days, right? Most people I know feel like when they go to see their GP, they got to advocate for themselves to get a referral. It doesn't feel like they're feeling seen or heard. And then now they're calling for something that's elective. Sometimes teeth is a little different, but still, like,
Right.
I have to decide whether I want dentures or all on 4 dental implants, right? And this is going to be expensive, and I get to choose anyone I want. And I for sure don't want to feel like I have to advocate for myself. And you who are answering the phone are the first touch point for feeling seen and heard, right?
100%. And that's the person who's going to greet you when you come in for your consultation as well.
All right, I want to jump into these questions because I have a few very specific questions I want to ask you.
Sure.
And I knew this episode was going to be a lot of fun. We've already talked about most of what we're going to talk about, probably, but
Yeah,
that's what I appreciate about you. I have a passion for this because this is a problem I've been trying to solve for a long time, and you have a passion for solving it.
absolutely.
All right, so first question. Phone calls are often the first impression for specialty medical practices. What are the most common mistakes you see teams making?
So, I think this is back to like thinking you're an order taker. It's so cliche, but if you go back to like early, like phone trainings, I mean, like I said, I'm 57. I worked for the Weather Channel here in Georgia. I had some interesting admin jobs. And that corny thing they tell you, like, answer with a smile
Mm-hmm.
in your voice.
Yeah,
It works. People feel it, they hear it, they recognize it. And I think too often admin teams think of that ringing phone as a nuisance. Like you're interrupting whatever I was doing, whatever else. And clients feel that when you answer the phone that way. Just genuine enthusiasm. People want to feel welcome. It's the psychology of sales, right? If you make somebody feel frustrated or like they're taking your time or whatever else, they're going to bounce.
of course.
But if you make somebody feel like their call is welcome, that you're excited to hear from them, that you're excited to spend time with them and guide them and help answer their questions, then it makes all the difference in the world. And the other thing I find is like there's not enough training and time and attention put into this role where they don't do their homework. They don't feel confident talking about services or providers. In some of these large practices, they don't even know their providers. One of the things I say is toot your provider's horn. If you have one provider and this is the only provider that does laser and somebody calls and asks a laser question, tell them how much everybody loves her, how great she is, how whatever else. But sometimes this is a kind of a transient role, high turnover in this role. I think, again, because it's undervalued and undertrained and underappreciated. And that team member doesn't have time to really get to learn the services, learn the providers. Spend that time with your team and teach them those things. Let them make connections so they feel part of all of it. We don't want somebody to be a medical provider up there giving medical advice, but you're the guiding force for the whole practice. So you need to know, you need to know.
Sure. Sure, I agree with that. And, it's an interesting dichotomy, right? When I'm the chief strategist here at Firm Media, and I shifted over to that role from CEO for a very specific reason, because I saw a massive shift in the industry. And I started realizing that if we don't have brand positionings for these clients, and we're still talking about under the muscle, over the muscle, DIP flap, or zygomatic implants, when people don't care about that, they just want their problem solved and they want to know why they should choose you. You can't just answer the phone anymore, and you have to understand the doctor's bedside manner. I think it's interesting you used the names Dr. Schwartz and Dr. Friedman, which are both plastic surgeons in Dallas. So I thought, is she just listing off all the plastic surgeons in Dallas? Case example, talk to them about what the differentiators are for Dr. Schwartz or Dr. Friedman. Now you're just talking to them about stuff they could have read on the website. Again,
100%.
not feeling seen, not feeling heard.
Yeah. And 15 years ago, when I started doing this, there was no TikTok, there was no whatever else. Consumers are far more educated
So
now
they already
than they
know whether
were.
they want under the muscle or over the muscle.
They're gonna come in and give you their chat GPT breakdown and their what they saw on TikTok, whatever. What those things, what AI, what TikTok, what all of those things can't give you is personal connection, is a relationship. So you need to be able to do that quickly on the phone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they've got the information. They've
Sure. I refer to
watched.
that now as a one-day TikTok crash course.
Yes, everybody's taken one.
All right, I have another question for you. Training front desk staff can be challenging. What skills have the biggest impact on converting callers into consultation?
So I think the skills are, again, listening skills, listening for clues in conversations. I think this role requires a lot of patience, and I think people hire for like volume and speed.
Mm-hmm.
It also requires somebody, again, who has the willingness to do their homework, know what your schedule looks like, know your providers, know what contraindications are for your treatments. We had a case where somebody called in and asked about microneedling with radiofrequency or something.
RF microneedling.
And yeah, the person on the phone talked it up like crazy, like made them want it, ready to buy it, ready to everything. What they didn't hear was, I have scars on my face from an accident. I now have a metal implant. Well, good. You just spent 30 minutes on the phone selling a procedure that that person can't have.
Mm-hmm.
So now the person is in the clinic. They're frustrated. Now, now they want it. They can't have it. So, skill sets are like doing your homework, educating yourself, doing ongoing training. Like the industry changes constantly. How we talk to patients changes constantly, just like injectors do continuing education. As an admin person, you need to do continuing education. Right now, we're fighting back against AI and trying to make people realize we're not an AI, we're not a VA, we're not, we are actually in the clinic, we're whatever. This is completely new kind of, subset of training that's just happened in the last couple of years. Just like all other areas of the industry change, this area of the industry changes as well. Know your competitors, know what they're doing, know what their offers are. If
Mm-hmm.
they've got $6 a unit for tox, is it really Botox?
Yeah.
Make sure you're comparing apples to apples.
Yeah, I hear you. I saw a post by a friend of mine who's a consultant. I think she posted it yesterday. I think it was on LinkedIn, but it basically was sort of going over the nuances of each position in a practice and the things they could be looking for. And one of them was, if you're standing in front of them talking to them about the procedure and you sense that they're scared, that's a totally different like set of skills, right? Empathy, I guess, right? Like totally set of different skills to help them convert, right? And when I say convert, that gets a bad rap, right? Oh, we're in medicine, we shouldn't be selling medicine. This is my take on it. I just wrote an article for one of the magazines that I write for, where I had Dr. Schwartz and Terry Ross both give me some quotes for it. But the idea there was, how do you feel about the idea that high pressure sales has no place in sort of the aesthetic space or oral surgery space? And what I got back was, look, it doesn't need to be high pressure. But if someone comes to you and they say to you, I want this particular procedure, I want CO2 laser, right? And I'm just spitballing here. You've decided that that's not the best for you. This BBL version of this is better for your skin and more gentle. I don't have all the nuances there, and you let them leave and go down the street to the person that's going to now do the CO2 laser to save $100. If you truly believe that the thing you're offering is better, then I think there's some sort of obligation to help them understand that they should not leave without booking with you.
100%. And, I get this from practices all the time, and they're like, we don't want to call and tell them about the special or the sale or the whatever else. And I'm like, would you want to know?
Mm-hmm.
Like if this was your hair salon, your nail salon, your dentist, or your whatever, and they were offering for a short time 25% off the thing you wanted, wouldn't you want to know that? And they're like, yeah. One of the things that is so helpful for practices, and they just don't do it often enough, is like to think of every single thing you do from a consumer perspective and open your eyes when you are at your kid's pediatric dentist, when you're getting your glasses done, when you're whatever you're having done, kind of in this medical field. How are you greeted? Did it turn you off or turn you on?
Sure.
Are they chit-chatting behind the front desk and gossiping about other patients in the office? Because I'm going to get a big ick feeling if that's happening. When you call the office, how are you greeted? How are you scheduled? Do they inform you when they've got something special going on that you might like to know about? Like, secret shop your practice and
Sure.
secret shop a bunch of other places too.
Sure.
And think of it again from a consumer's perspective. And we do unto others, right?
Yes.
So you treat your clients like you would want to be treated. And you're right. If you really believe that that is the best, for best outcome for your patient, again, we're selling confidence and outcome, glowing skin, whatever else.
Sure.
If you think this is the safest way for them to get there, then yeah, it's your duty as a provider to do everything in your power to make sure they understand why you believe that.
Yeah.
And if it's over $100, let's figure out the $100. Like we can work something out, right? For
Right.
some referrals or review or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an interesting statement. One of the things I really appreciate is that I'm, to some degree, a consumer of the products that I market. I got through college working in salons, with med spa components, very high-end brands like Aveda, where there was constant product training. And then as I got older, this is my favorite thing to do. I provide brand positioning workshops for our clients as the
Oh,
brand
that's cool.
strategist. And so I do the brand positioning, and then maybe I'll be on the road heading to a trade show and I'm going to stop in this particular city. And hey, can I get I don't know, can I do BBL here tomorrow? Sure. Okay. So I go in, they do the treatment on me, right? It's one of the treatments that's not going to leave my face all red if I have to be somewhere the next day, that kind of stuff. Right? So I have a small procedure. And then I'm with the doctor a couple of days later and I say, hey, no disrespect, but I want you to know we just did a brand positioning workshop and you described the patient experience. And I want you to know that that is not the experience that I had. Okay? So now I got to actually be there and say, what's happening is not what you're talking about. So we need to get those things together. So now I have consultants I want to introduce you to.
Yeah, 100%. Sometimes just walking out of your clinic and getting in the mindset, I'm going to walk in as a patient, and walking through your clinic and hearing what does it smell like? What does it sound like? Are there piles of clutter everywhere? Whatever else, send your girlfriend in, give her a free hydrofacial, send your girlfriend in and have a list of questions afterwards. It's about your brand, it's about relationships and people.
Yes. Yeah, I agree.
So,
All right, one more question.
sure.
This one I'm super excited about because I don't think people understand the value of this, and it's proven by data, right? Speed to lead and follow-up are critical but often inconsistent. What systems or processes do you recommend ensuring no lead slips through the cracks?
Call the damn leads, right? Yeah, this is, everybody struggles with this one. My first piece of advice to practices is always put one person in charge. If it's everybody's job, then it's nobody's job, right? Again, it's an undervalued position, just like this front desk. And they'll say, oh, yeah, well, my admin team, does it when they can or whatever else. You hired a rock star marketing company. You got amazing ads. You got all these leads coming in, and you don't want to pay a person to follow up with them. I mean, it's mind blowing to me. I'm like, well, then if you're not going to hire somebody to do it, then guess what? You need to do it. You need to put the app on your phone and you need to whatever else. And again, this is back to think about how these leads come in from a consumer perspective, right? I'm sitting on my back porch with a cup of coffee in the morning or a glass of wine at night or whatever. I'm scrolling through Facebook and I see one free week at a new Pilates studio that's opened up near me. And I go, oh, yeah, learn more, right? Okay, well, 2 minutes later, either I've gone to pick up my kids, my dog is barking, the doorbell's rang, I've taken another phone call. Like I'm not Pilates studio anymore. And if I do remember it 15 minutes later, then I'm Googling Pilates studio near me. I am no longer waiting for you to call back, right? It's gone. So I say 2 minutes, as soon as the lead comes in. And then, the thing that you're doing, again, that we talked about earlier, is you are fighting against AI. Like everybody's like, well, I got it. I got an AI. I got an AI. I got an AI. Again, the people who are buying these services whether it's aesthetic services, dental implants, whatever, are highly educated. And we are overwhelmed with digital clutter. We are overwhelmed with bots and AIs and whatever else. Not only do you need to do it quickly, but you need to quickly let that lead know that you are a human being.
Yes.
And I tell them, like, we called 3 times. Like, how many times do you want us to call? Well, you call until they book an appointment or they tell you to kick rocks. That's how many times you call. You call them at different times of the day. And when you call them, you say, hey, this is Angela. I'm calling from your practice solutions because, you had expressed an interest in our management training program. I'm going to leave you a text message as well. And if I don't hear from you, I'm going to call you back again tomorrow.
Yes.
So guess what? You either answer the phone or I'm going to call again tomorrow. And then I'm going to follow up immediately with the text. And then the other thing, the system, that people are not doing, use your CRM, use whatever you have, whether it's go high level or what, like, do all of the work in there. If it's not done in there, it didn't happen.
Sure.
Like, don't pick up your phone. Move people to the correct pipelines. Have your pipelines labeled in a way that makes sense for your office so you know where they are in the conversation. Keep notes in there about how many times you've contacted them. If you say you're going to call back tomorrow, call back tomorrow. Like,
Sure.
yeah, call back again. And, you're calling 99% of the time, they're not going to answer the phone, which is why we double dial, right?
Right.
If it's important, they'll call back. So we're going to call right back. So we double dial. But getting them on the phone is not as important as letting them hear your name and hear your voice.
Yes.
Hey, this is Angela from Your Practice Solutions. Like, I'm a real person and I'm going to send you a text. It's harder for people to say no to a person
Yes.
than it is for them to say no to a bot.
That's very good insight. That's very good insight.
Yeah. So then you're texting them, hey, it's Angela. I just left you a voicemail message. If it's easier to text, then, shoot me a text. I'll be happy to answer any questions, whatever else. And again, this isn't sales. This is inquiry. Why were you interested in our Pilates classes? Have you taken Pilates classes before? Are you new to the area?
Yeah.
Again, it's curiosity. Get them talking. Send them texts that, are very short. They can answer yes or no. Like, I had a client I was working with, and he's like, well, nobody's responding to the text. We're sending them the questions. And I was like, okay, what is the question? And the question was, tell me about your weight loss journey over the last 10 years. And I would look at that and think, that's a novel. I'm not doing that. I was like, have you tried GLP-1 medication before?
Right.
And that's yes or no. And, then how much weight would you like to lose? Get them engaged, ask them questions, get a conversation going with them, and then book the appointment. Every call, every lead, everything all funnels down to the consult or the appointment or whatever else.
Sure.
Your job is not done until they're on the books.
I agree with that. And I also think that part of the question had a component around speed to lead. And I think there's some statistics, I know there's some statistics that suggest, an internet lead for a aesthetic or specialty medical practices starts to die after 20 minutes. And
that doesn't surprise me.
And I think the reason being is because people are now searching and then maybe emailing 2 or 3 different people or contacting 2 or 3 different people.
Correct.
And I think the first one that they get in the seat.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely. I mean, now they're interested. Maybe they weren't even thinking about it before, but now they're like,
Sure.
Maybe I should look at implants, or maybe I should look at, whatever. And, I tell people, like, go to your CRM, ask your marketing, what time are these leads coming in?
Sure.
Because, if you've got somebody who's working them from 9 to 5 and 70% of your leads are coming in after 7 p.m. or on the weekend, you're missing the boat. A lead comes in Friday night, nobody's calling them back until Monday morning, they're gone.
Yeah.
But don't stop calling them until they tell you to kick rock.
There's a lot of really good systems out there that didn't exist before. CallRail has some stuff that I think is very helpful around that. Line has some stuff that's really good around that. As you said, go high level. The thing I really appreciate is I've been more and more interested in what Simplast is doing from the EMR perspective, because they're now opening up bottom of funnel lead nurturing. So the lead comes straight in and goes straight into Simplast. So no double duty. Now there's no question whether you called them or not. Right?
That's interesting. Yeah.
Hey, I'm showing here that we have no visibility on 64% of your leads. I know, but Mary's really good at it. It doesn't matter to me, right? I need to know that it got done, right? And then when you start to connect everything together, which I think is going to be the future, right? Like once practices start to realize that if their marketing doesn't connect to their EMR, then they're basically spending marketing dollars every month with a blind spot.
Well, yeah. I mean, well, look, we started Facebook ads and doing this. I don't even know, like in the dark ages. And I don't even remember where they came in, Zing It, or they came in somehow, but we would have to manually put everybody in our system just to make sure they were there.
Sure. But the difference is that you cared about the outcome, right? And not that you don't have that situation at the front desk all the time, right? They're just like, yeah,
No.
I did the thing.
Yeah. I had 11 people's salaries to pay.
Sure.
I had payroll coming up, so it mattered to me. But, again, that's make it somebody's responsibility. Train them, equip them, bonus them, make how many appointments they get booked matter.
Sure.
Hire somebody who's hungry and who's good on the phone. I mean, this is a great job for, a stay-at-home mom or college students when our kids were in college, they were 100% lead nurture because they were up at, I was in bed by 7:30, 8 o'clock. They were up at 11 o'clock, 1 o'clock when leads were coming in. And they knew what we did. So if your phone pings at, 1:30 in the morning and it's somebody about a Halo laser, then you book them.
Yeah.
And that's how our kids, made their spending money through college is they did lead nurture. My mom did lead nurture for a while because we had a big Spanish population. My mom speaks Spanish. So I was like, guess what, Mom? You're our Spanish lead nurture person now.
I've really enjoyed this episode.
Me too.
This is so much fun. This is the time in the episode where I ask for your Elm Essential insight. So what is one key takeaway that you want to leave our listeners with as they head into their practice?
The key takeaway is stop undervaluing this position. Person's on the phone. It doesn't matter how great your marketing team is, how great your injector or your surgeons are. It's a huge leak in the bucket for you. Train them, support them, equip them.
Yeah.
And it's 6 figures sitting behind your front desk potentially.
Yeah, it's easy when you're in a conversation with somebody and you say, because now there's, like I said, there's systems that exist where you can say, hey, every week on Thursdays, Tuesdays through Thursdays at this time, the phone doesn't get answered. Is there a reason for that? Well, yeah, that's because we send people home at this time and then there's only one person there. And then when the client says, well, if they just closed one of those, it would be their month's salary. And I'm like, then why don't you pay them 2 of those and get a rock star, right?
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Because there's
100%.
8 there that didn't get closed.
Yeah. People say all the time, we need more new patients. And I go, how many patients do you have in your EMR? And they're like, 6,400. I'm like, no, you don't. Then, why does this person who comes in every 4 weeks for hydrofacial have no idea that you do Botox and lasers? Why has that never been offered? Why is that? Yeah.
That's all I have. And I really enjoyed this. I can't wait for this.
Me too.
I can't wait for this episode to be edited because I have a feeling I'm going to be sending this link to a lot of people.
Well, good. I would, it's an epidemic out there. So let's cure it. Let's see what we can do.
Sure. I mean, it's a sad day when there are probably an army of people racing towards trying to figure out how to get AI to answer the phone and close a aesthetic practice lead.
Yep.
Yeah.
That is. Again, it's people, relationships. It's all going to come back to that in the end.
Thank you again.
You're so welcome. Thank you for having me, Chris.
I'll see you soon.
Okay, thanks.
Please give us a like and subscribe to stay up to date with the Elm Practice Education series.